Modern Horizons is upon us, and this set is pretty crazy. While the word modern makes us think of the modern format, this set was designed with pretty much every Magic format in mind, including Cube. In this video, I'll show you my top 5 cards that I think would go great in Cube. Please let me know in the comments what your top picks are and if you disagree with any of mine. Before getting into the top 5, I do have 2 honorable mentions. I like these cards a lot, but their inclusion in cubes will be highly situational depending on the makeup of your cube. Planebound Accomplice. Planebound Accomplice gets an honorable mention from me. I like the design of this card, but it's very situational to your cube. Personally, my 360 card cube has over 20 Planeswalkers, meaning most draft decks will have at least a couple of them. Planebound Accomplice works nicely in a deck with multiple Planeswalkers. If you really just need one activation of one to get some extra value, this card ensures that you can cast other spells on the same turn, which means it's potentially great if you're ahead or behind. If your hand is really insane, it's notable that this creature's ability doesn't require tapping and you can activate it multiple times per turn. Echo of Eons. Echo of Eons is another honorable mention and purely for players on a budget. For those who have pimped out their cubes with all the Power 9 cards, you already have Time Twister. For those who don't have thousands of dollars to spend on a Power 9 card, Echo of Eons is a great substitute. Its casting cost doesn't make it great, but the flashback cost makes it quite literally Time Twister. If your cube has discard effects or self-mill of any kind in blue, this card could have a place there as a replacement Power 9. Number 5. Kaya's Guile. If you've watched my channel at all, you know I love modal spells and command style cards. What I love even more is that this card sort of has 2 modal aspects because, in addition to making the choice between the 4 options, you can also pay 3 extra mana to enshrine it and get all 4 effects. This makes Kaya's Guile extremely versatile. All of the modes are useful at various stages in the game, and it can potentially take out a hard to remove or scary creature, slow down a graveyard deck, give yourself an aerial presence, or gain a bit of life. Overall, this card has some great flexibility, perfect for a black-white based control deck or as a toolbox card for an aggro deck. Number 4. Hexdrinker. Hexdrinker is a really interesting card. It is extremely powerful, but requires an investment of 9 mana in order to get overpowered. Until then though, it's susceptible to instant speed removal until 4 mana is spent on it, so seeing this on turn 1 when you have a Path to Exile, Fatal Push, or Swords to Plowshares isn't really that daunting. If you're the one playing this card, it's great because if it dies early, you didn't spend much mana on it, and if it lives until later in the game, you will have a hard time losing it. Well, except for Kaya's Guile, I guess. Number 3. Bazaar Trade Mage. An homage to Bazaar of Baghdad, Bazaar Trade Mage is very powerful. Blue in Cube is very much based on cheap spells and expensive utility creatures and bomb creatures. But this is a 3/4 flying creature for 3 mana, which is pretty aggressive. This is going to be an attacker that is hard to deal with. It also draws 2 cards and makes you discard 3. While you do lose a card in the exchange, this filtering is awesome. If you get it early game, you can sculpt your hand, and if you get it late game, you basically mill yourself a bit and can power up graveyard strategies. Number 2. Force of Despair. All of the new Force cards are incredibly interesting, but Force of Despair may be the best for a format like Cube. It's sort of a murder, sort of a damnation, and oftentimes can be free. In the worst case, you're able to exile a card to kill a scary creature. Even more fun is being able to cast this after your opponent casts a Secure the Waste, or activates an Elspeth. Also notable is that this card does not target, therefore this is also awesome against hexproof creatures. Number 1. Tribute Mage. The Mage cycle doesn't see a lot of play in Cube, but Tribute Mage grabs the perfect mana cost of artifacts. Let's name some of the cards you could get with Tribute Mage. Phyrexian Revoker, Spellskite, any of the Signets, Smuggler's Copter, Umezawa's Jite, Isochron Scepter. Basically this card tutors for fixing, hate cards, combo pieces, and more. This might work better in some cubes than others, but these are all pretty popular cards in most cubes. I expect this uncommon to be a high pick in cube drafts. Those have been my favorite cards to try out in Cube from Modern Horizons. If you like this video and want more Magic the Gathering content, feel free to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like or a comment. It helps out a lot. Until the next video, this has been Masonzero MTG.